Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. So it's going to be 2 years. We're snailing. We're up to the 42, slow and patient.
You said snailing.
Yeah, we're snailing slowly,
It's like sailing without a sail. We're just snailing through life.
snailing through life. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I have like a lot of energy. I was up here and there throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
Full moon in Aries
I
coming.
was
So,
just about to say,
yeah.
this is your prime time. Mm-hmm.
And I like
Show
this
up to the
changing.
world.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I can just listen.
You didn't like it again? Again?
Oh, this one? No, I love this one. I
Oh,
like
okay,
this
cool.
one. It's just left me with not much to say. Maybe because I woke up and I just grabbed the book and started reading without, because I had the dream that I didn't even took time to think about. And yeah, I should have. I just wrote the dream quickly
Hmm.
and then took a book and with my boogers on, with my eye boogers on, and boogers on. Yep, yep.
Yes. We show up raw. We keep our boogers on so that you can see the full experience.
I mean, in retrospect, we have changed from beards to long hair,
Yeah.
bald, cold sores,
Yeah.
and like, wow. Well, actually, you did. You went through a
I did most
metamorphosis.
yeah, I did most of the changing. Yeah, you had a brief long hair period and
You mean longer?
a little bit longer. It seemed like you were just gonna grow it. You said initially you were like, I'm gonna grow it out. And I
Just so I
think
can cut it?
and
Yeah.
then some point, yeah. Maybe it was just to regain the feeling of newness.
I did have a longer hair all the way. It was a couple years ago, and that was my last chance to grow it in this life. And I committed to never ever have a long hair again. And I didn't even dye it. So the amount of gray hair that I have, speaking of, so-
Yeah, yeah.
embrace the aging. It's insane. It was so insane, but I pushed through it and I wanted to see how do I look, and I aged myself 10, 15 years.
And so your natural is brown, and then you were just like salt and pepper,
I'm extra salt and pepper.
extra pepper, extra salt.
Extra salt, yes. It's crazy. So I think I'll dye my hair. Well, anyway. But it aged me a lot and I couldn't stand it. So great. They were talking about letting go of living and embracing dying.
Yeah,
And yeah, how do you think about how do you feel about this ski?
I like it a lot. I think it is foundational to something in me. Some part of me is like, this is a big one. It's a big one.
Mm.
Um, because no matter where I find myself wrestling with expectation, detachment. And then when I'm doing really well, I'm in celebration. But I find it interesting. I know we're not supposed to really start with the city, but I'm like, it's fresh in my mind how he said the illusion of progress in sense of detachment and enlightenment. And really, it's just a sudden, it's just like you're either awake or you're asleep. There's no in between. Um, and part of me wants to like fight that. I'm like, no, listen. Say it's worth something, right? You know. Um,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah. But I'm
Say it
also,
was for nothing
yeah, say it was for nothing.
or for something.
But I'm also curious. I'm like, is it like just the possibility that we can be enlightened in one moment and not in another? We can be awake one day and totally asleep another. Because this is how it feels. You know, it's like some days like when I read this Jinky, it's like it's pretty straightforward. It's not like some of the other ones where you kind of have to like navigate and figure out what's being transmitted. It's like this one is like clear. And I'm aware of times when I've been in celebration, total detachment, and like felt like I'm awake. And if you ask me today, I would say, I think so. But then if I dig, if I look at my own shadows and my own like where I'm not able to see and like the peripheral vision, he mentioned if consciousness is like looking at a river passing by, celebrate like the next level of celebration or being fully awake would just being like totally relaxing your vision and just letting the your focus expand outward and you just take all of it in. And I'm like, well, I definitely still have attachments. And even this morning, I'm like filled with all kinds of expectations. So in my heart wants to say, well, can it be both? Like, how, like, can you really live totally free from any attachment? And then, of course, I pulled out Osho book.
Did you get it?
Um, Not yet. I think it's coming later today, but this is another one I have. And he's just talking about how we share wounds with one another so easily. Someone asked the question, like, how come we tend to, when we're in conversation, we tend to navigate towards our wounds, our pains, our sufferings, and not to like our Buddhahood, like our infinite bliss and silence. He's like, well, there's nothing to talk about, for one. And two, it's easy because we know it. It's familiar.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, hmm, how, and you and I mentioned this with this podcast, how we're like, maybe one day we will just sit in silence. But in reality, can we handle it? I don't know. It would be so, there's an element of like, okay, it's awkward. I'm uncomfortable. What are we doing? You start to question yourself. Um, and you did 10 days of silence, and I haven't gotten to expose myself to that experience yet. So, you know, there's a sense of familiarity too. You'd probably be familiar with all of the, you know, the circles that you run in and when you're sitting in silence. Anyway, all that to say, it's a simple one, but it's also like we can go down the river, you know, or we can see where we're at on the side of the river, and there's potentially a lot to talk about between the two of us.
Mm. I love that. And what kept coming up while you were talking is like this temptation to not let go
Mhm.
because it's so good. And it's
Yeah.
almost like a gratification for the hard work of expecting it for so long and finally getting it and grasping on it. And it's like such a trap. And
Mm.
it's not And I love how he, in the end, explains it's like, you can't help but not to laugh at yourself for trying so hard for something that will just hit you out of blue and be like, oh.
Yeah.
And I have so much to say on that, but it reminded me of this word. Okay, so this word that I found in one of the hermetics, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called chaos, chaosmos,
Mm.
chaosmos as a cosmos, but rather than chaosmos. And chaosmos is very much the law of randomness. And I actually, okay, so I have asked Gaffney directly because I attended one of his like short schools or teachings, and it was very much, he kept saying it's a law of attraction and law of manifestation. And this is what we aim for. This is where it is, as if it's the truth. And there's only the steps that you have to take. You have to come back to self. You have to meditate. You have to ritualize your practice. All these to dos to get there
Mm-hmm.
are also expectations. And it's based on the proven record of many people doing exact same thing, many souls backwards. And then I'm like, but wait a minute, that's one side. Can
Yeah.
we take on the total opposite, which is the law of randomness, and allow things, just allow, and also have faith, or just not even hoping for it, but rather than allow random to become and bring us to where we need to be? What are the chances? And he was like, yes, we can include that as well in this teaching. But he actually didn't give me, it was just very vague because the mindset was very much, there is the process to get to it. There is the phase, there is the progress that you have to go through. And I'm like, but I want to challenge it, because why not accepting the fact that something so random can come in and give us the realization? And why not? So
Yeah.
to me, this is very much the play of dualities. So to come back to hermetics, and when how they explained, and I remember East and West religious or teachings, they were so opposite, and one pulls into a very logical or very this way, that way, dogmatic, and the other one is very let go of everything and,
Mm-hmm.
surrender in a Buddha way. But what if both are right and necessary? And this actually, the moment we take both opposites, both sides,
Yeah.
that I have a sense of, it's almost bringing you out of experience into observer and experiencer, which he speaks of this. It's like, oh, and when you're able to like almost like observe what is happening on both sides, inside of you and outside of you, then the detachment becomes easier and
Mm-hmm.
laughable. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I'm trying really hard, but it's too not important. It's not
Mm-hmm.
important that I stand for something on one side and totally disregard the opposite.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much to say on that. It's like what I've been finding recently is I'll find myself in states of such strong emotion um around like suffering and like wanting the manifestation of expectation to happen sooner, and then being like in total despair around like the death of my expectations. And I feel in that death like this emotion of just just like, you know, frustration. I'm annoyed with myself for even like going into that. And then on the other side, there's like the relief, the relaxation that happens, but not until there's some release in my body around what I was holding. And it's so clear to me when this happens, and this happens in the same day where I'm in total celebration and feeling immense abundance, like being in Hawaii and with my family. And I'm like, I don't need anything else. I could die in this moment, totally happy. And then earlier in the day, I'm like, I just feel like dying. I'm so sick of this game and this like how we're just spinning our wheels and like, the cosmic joke. And then and then there's some point like I don't know if it's in between or just like looking back, reflecting on the day, or maybe even right now, where I look at myself in both states and I'm like, there's there's another level to this joke of like getting attached in those states. And then of course we think we're observing. Are we attached in the observer state? It's just like on and on and on. But to your point, I feel I had this thought last night. I was reading the Hermetics here, Giordano Bruno, and like the question popped into my head. It was just like a transmission, and it was, do you want to be involved in the depth? Like, do you want to keep going into the depth? There's some like, I don't know if you felt this, but there's some gate, like gatekeeping, or like there's a gate around the mysteries, like the mystery school. And I'm sure you've experienced this with Eros, like going into that, and then just anything that has depth beyond the simple teachings that we can experience in this life. There's like just this question of, if you go down this path, then you must go down with like full intention. Like you better put on the correct gear to take this hike. Like you can't just go out for a Sunday stroll and expect to be able to summit Mount Everest. Like you better take this seriously, and you better commit to it fully. You better commit to see it through. And so the question came in. I was like, do I want to commit to this? Because I see that it's a game on both sides. I'm like,
Hmm.
so would I rather just be free flowing and just, happy with randomness and happy with just kind of life occurring to me and just being a receiver of it in a more feminine sense? Or do I want to be the pursuer? Do I want to be like the hero's journey? Do I want to do I want to have the stories to tell? Do I want to have, and where do I find my attachment there?
Hmm.
And the answer came through pretty clear. It was like I'd rather have the stories. I'd rather have the scars, the stories, the the participation to tell, or to just to have it. I think I came here to be to experience the depth. Like there's a reason why I have such intensity in my life, and I think it's because in how we fractalize into human experience, how we're all kind of components of a larger system to experience life itself. I'm one of the ones that's like to be venturing out, maybe not the furthest, but just to be pushing out the limits and to see where the edges are. And for that, if nothing else than to play out this cosmic joke, I will gladly do so. And it's like I kind of had that self-commitment, but also it felt good to just have the question and then just rest with the question, because there's this balancing act between, like you said, if we call it east and west, but there's something really profound about that state in the middle of like seeing both or feeling both and knowing I'm jumping between them, but there's like a quiet moment where I'm like I found myself in the middle.
Mm.
I just
I
talked for a
love
long time. I'm sorry.
good. I mean, it's a rare occasion, so
Yeah.
I welcome it. I love this. And like, I want to just ask you in that moment when you asked that question after reading, and then this channeled question to you for contemplation came, that moment you allowed that moment to bring up whatever that it wants to bring up to you, through you, for you. And there was this initiated desire to come to some conclusion at that moment, which you did and you
Mm.
decided, right? So, and this is where we're like, okay, there's a question and I need the answer, and I will find
Yeah.
the answer, and that answer will set me up for good,
Hmm.
as if it's not going to change.
Right.
And I wonder, and I always wonder, whenever I'm so strong about any stand,
Hmm.
I must, I almost like forget, I really forget until much later
Yeah.
to be humble enough to accept, to actually vulnerably say to myself that, oh my God, even if I said yes today at this moment, my answer is very likely to be no tomorrow, or
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow. I cannot just exclude the potentiality of changing my mind and
Hmm.
changing my answer. And I think this is where it gets like, we're so conditioned to have the plan, to aim for something, to put it, and that exact thing sets us to fail, which is great thing that he's talking about. It's like that's the expectation. It's like I
Hmm.
have a plan, I must, and it totally kills the vibe of the magic in a moment. Because, and I started learning how to do this more and more through reading books. And I'm not joking when I say, if you just see my floor, because all my books are on my floor, I have 5 to 6 books at the same time that I read, and I don't complete them.
Yeah.
I'm not set to complete them in one sitting. I'm allowing the feeling, oh, today I feel like I want to read Blavatsky. Tomorrow I want to read Hermetica. The day after, fiction of magic, astrological signs, right? So it's like that feels more liberating
Hmm.
to not be constricted with what I'm supposed to do, because that's, we read books from front to end. That's what we're supposed to do, right? It's like an
Yeah.
expectation.
Hmm.
And it's very constricting, and it's setting me up to fail every time.
Hmm.
And I love when, so for example, when we read the 40, out of the entire book, I'll just give you a short story. Out of the entire book, we actually never committed to the end. And I think because we didn't commit to the end, we gave it a try. We kept coming back to the small bits and pieces, which is a small bite size of the key that we're entering from start to end. And we, out of which we actually create totally something different. Because we didn't commit and because we didn't have expectation, it's still alive.
Hmm.
It is shocking. Oh, again, shocking, but it is true. So, how do you translate this into life of total not commitment to anything that you start, without going into a shadow or reactive or repressive nature of this shadow, and
Right.
allowing, like almost like allow me to be me? And just one thing to add, my mom always, like, this woman is just, all her life she fought to be herself.
Hmm.
Her entire life she fought to be herself, to be her own self, to speak what she feels like speaking, to ask, to seek. And she only wanted to do herself, and everybody around her wanted her to do something else for them. And
Hmm.
she kept saying, just leave me alone, just leave me, let me be me, let me be me, all her life. Imagine when the constricts or must do's, or you have to do it, are just like pounded upon you, and you have total imprisonment, and you never get to experience what it feels to actually free flow through life, and oh, take a deep breath and just let go of everything.
Hmm.
We need that. And I think it's like almost like a reset of the entire mechanism that in the human body that happens when you just kind of like surrender to it, and you just fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, ah,
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that happens regardless. Like that's kind of the definition of like midlife crisis is you feel like the path that you set out on has changed or you've changed and the path that you're on doesn't align anymore. And so in that sense you feel like a failure and then you start to do you start to pursue more and then in the pursuit like it's almost like an acceptance that you will fail. It's just that's the way I see it. And so even even for me in looking at both sides and seeing myself in like answering the question of, are you sure you want to go down this path? And then me saying like, I'm fully committed, I will do this. I know, I don't know in the moment, to be truthful. I don't know in the moment. I think with my mind that I'm committed. And I step away, and this happened pretty quickly. It's almost like I'm like, okay, I see myself answering the question before, and then I see myself now, and it's two different people already. And it was maybe just hours after. And I'm like, so what is truth? And that can only be answered in the moment, right? I can't answer it for my memories of what truth
Yeah.
is. I can't answer it for my future because both are illusion. So it's just like literally like there's a element of nowness that we meet in detachment. And it's it's like I think the detachment, I think that's why it seems simple, but it's really profound because it takes such a level of surrender to yourself, to like the moment that you appear in. And it's not, we could paint the picture of, okay, if I'm totally detached, then I'm like a monk and I just float through life and I, it's easygoing and I find my way. Maybe it's tough here. Um, but because I'm detached, it's so easy. And it's like, actually, I think what this gift is talking about is we find ourselves keep, we find ourselves attaching to things continuously, and then we just let go again.
Yeah.
It's like the hand will automatically clasp, and it's just in this gift. Can I, can I open it up again? Because
Mm.
then there it goes again. Can I open it up again? It's almost like in meditation. This would be, the monkey mind, and then this is like going back to breath.
Yeah. And I love that. And this reminded me this weekend, I ended up, oh, I went to the park. I just had to be in the nature over the weekend. I think it was, I can't remember what day was it. But I ended up in a park, which is a big botanical garden here in LA. It's beautiful, and it's now going through the fall. And last year at this exact time, I was there. Last year,
Mm.
and entire massive, like we have so many gardens together, like Japanese, Chinese, England, Shakespeare's Garden of Roses. Everything is like partial. And then you get to choose where you want to spend your time. And often I go there and I write, and then I read, and then I just kind of reset with the nature. But this time I didn't want to go anywhere else in the garden rather than on that same spot that I was in last year at this time. And I
Mm.
literally was like, I really want to go there. I'm not attached to the past of what happened last year at this time, but something is like nothing else works other than this spot. Off I go. I lay my towel on the grass, and as I lay down, I sat at the same exact spot. I looked up the sky. There's these two big, massive trees on the left and right side. The clouds are passing by, and I'm sitting in a moment, and I'm like, oh my God, the grass is the same, the trees are the same, the clouds are the same, the sky, everything is the same, the birds are the same, the signs are the same. I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'm the same, but something inside of me is different. And that is the only difference is the experience from last year all the way up to this year. They gave me to be on this side and that side and this side and that side and this side and that side that actually gave me this sense of me being and absorbing everything in a very different way. Last year, same October date, and this year, nothing changed other than me. Everything is the cycle, and the cycle, everything is just set up for me to show up differently. And for me to show up differently, I must experience. And for me to experience, I can't just be an observer. I have to dive into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just sit at the VIP table, watch in the center of the ring, however, fights are happening. I have to go and try and fail. I have to be in extreme in order for me to, I have to, I have to fail in order to have gain the sense of what success feels like. I have to love in order to know what pain feels like. It's almost like you have to bite it in order to experience it. And that experience is going to kind of add that layer of almost existence in that moment. And as I was looking at the same exact, I did nothing different. Inside of me was different. I cried and tears, I don't even know, joy, sorrow. Was I grieving the past? Was I joyful for the future? I have no idea what happened, but it shifted. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to come back to the same space to realize that exact thing. It's like I shifted for the entire year, and I shifted because I said yes for experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm sitting here playing safe, I'm not going to have the experience. And only because I had that experience and I experienced myself in such oppositions or separateness, am I actually able to experience myself as the different observer, right? It's like different sets of eyes come in, the different layer of me comes in to
Mm-hmm.
understand myself. Without it, I couldn't get that part.
Yeah.
It was really, really profound to allow yourself to almost like allow myself to choose the side which I'm going to counter myself and question and admit that I've been wrong just
Yeah.
so I can learn the humbleness of the opposite from the arrogance. But how will I know that I was
Mm-hmm.
arrogant if I didn't get to a point where it made me humble?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. And this was yesterday?
Last Friday, yeah.
Last Friday. And the analogy of like being the audience member or stepping in the arena, and just a thought came through, but I think it comes up with a question. It's like, okay, do you feel that you have to push yourself to accept the desire to participate in the arena, like using that metaphor? Like, do you feel like you have to kind of talk yourself up to be like, you can do this, you can do this. Okay, we're gonna go down there. Like you kind of like set up a like you're getting your confidence up to do it, or is it naturally occurring in you, and it's just about like getting out of your own way and like.
I you remember the momentum, the train, the wave? When there's a momentum that comes in and I
Mm-hmm.
just hop on that train.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think this is how I am allowing myself to go against everything that tells me to go no. Because if I'm feeling there's a momentum in something, yesterday I ended up going to a Malibu hike. It was absolutely impossible for me to get there on time. It was impossible. I went to the gym, I had to come back home, make my bed, walk the dog, feed him and me, and then drive across LA for an hour and a half to get to the hike in the mountains. And I was like, it's impossible. But sense inside of me was like, oh, you're going to make it. And I didn't question it. I was like, oh, I'm going to make it. And if I have to go there and literally come back, I'm going to do it. And no traffic. And here's another thing. Because I hopped on the train, LA, who has a lot of traffic, there was no traffic. The road was wide open. I was running out of battery because I drive electric car. And I was like, and I'm going up the hill and battery is eating it. And I was like, oh my God, it's like now I'm in the middle of forest. There's no reception. I'm going to just stop somewhere at the end, but I'm going with it. I'm getting there. I'm paying for the park admission ticket. Nobody's there. I was like, oh, maybe they're on the other side.
Free
I'm
entry.
going. No, I paid for the ticket. I
Oh,
exit the park. I go on the other side of the trail. Nobody's there. Wrong group. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Since I'm here and I paid for it, I'm just gonna go back in. I'm gonna do the hike alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back there and they just showed up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy moly, like what? And then since I was climbing on my way back, I wanted to take a different road. Holy shit. Did I take the road that goes through Malibu? It was the most scenic ride I have ever
Mm-hmm.
taken. Nobody on the road. It was through the Palisades that just burned down, but it was so up high that I was running, and the electric car, almost like you discharge a lot upwards, and then it charges back when
Yeah.
you go downhill. And I was like, oh my God, I keep going up and going up and going up. And I'm like, this is insane good. Like, what is this? Like, I want to come back and just drive car here because it literally goes like this, left and right. You're
Mm-hmm.
literally like in a, run for speed type of scenic drive. And then I got home and then I sat down and I was like, what an experience. What did I gain from this? Again, a bunch of friends. And when I hope on the whole point I'm trying to make is like when I hope on that momentum, I actually have no time to question it.
Yeah.
Is it right or wrong? And until that momentum slows down and the wave kind of, like becomes an ocean, then I can actually reflect back on what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for the sense where the momentum kind of wants to pass through me and I either hop on it or I don't. And if I
Mm-hmm.
don't, I don't question it. If I do, I go, and often it's against everything that my mind wants me to do.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How do you deal with that? A good question.
I think comes back to trust for me, like trusting that it's for me or good for me and not some ulterior motive or some ego thing. So I'm learning the trust. But this example that keeps coming up in my mind is growing up in the church, you know, when you're at church, you're not talking, you're just absorbing. You're sitting, you're quiet, you're absorbing. This is what it takes to be a good church member. And as I started to question things and kind of do my own journeying through different philosophies and different religions and just being curious, I found myself more and more uncomfortable in that seat and in the quietness. I wanted to participate. I wanted to question things. I wanted to introduce a different viewpoint. I was like, I want to go up there and be like, have you thought about this? And just offer something. Um, and it kept growing and growing. And for a while, church was just like you going to be social and because people expect me to be there. And then at some point, I was like, I can't handle it anymore. Solely for the fact, not because of like I don't agree with the beliefs or anything like that. Solely for the fact that I cannot participate. And because I cannot participate, I cannot go. It's so uncomfortable. Like I'm just like itching in my chair. And I would, for a while, I was like, I'll funnel it into writing what my thoughts and feelings are. And that worked for a while until it didn't, until it wasn't enough. I'm like, I'm still being told how to feel about this, or at best, I'm like, I can't even. There's no question being asked. It's just here's my perspective. And I'm like, you have a valid perspective. I mean, you potentially are not wrong, but there's no dialogue happening. It's just a monologue. And that part I just don't agree with. It doesn't matter what the topic is for the most part, unless you're like, Elon Musk or um, the head of NVIDIA and you're talking about some very technical engineering thing and there's not really, but then still I'm like, just bring your engineers up and let me hear multiple perspectives.
Mm.
So I think how this relates, yeah, it's like that feeling in me of, hey, this isn't a zone of participation. and that discomfort in you, it's like that voice is telling you you need to go out and do something with it. You need to go out. Don't just sit there and then gripe about it after, complain about the message not being, because that's what I would do. It's like go and do your own research, and if you feel so strongly about it, then start a podcast, write a newsletter, do the thing. And then I think that's what led me to traveling around Europe. And I was writing a little bit at the time, and I found to do it as like my own platform, I'm like, well, this is incredibly difficult. It's so much easier to be the armchair quarterback. You're watching sports on TV and you're critiquing. You're like, why did you make that? I would have done that so much better. So
Hmm.
much easier because you have like the foundation of their hard work to then project yourself out onto. So that being said, I'm learning, but for me, it's such a strong feeling. And I think that's the Aries in my chart. It's like, it's a fire that burns. And it's like, I feel like a warrior. And then I'm like, I don't want to fight anyone. And I don't really want to argue. But it's such a strong presence and emotion that wants to come up. I don't want to be seated, I want to be up and
Wow.
in front and moving and participating. So,
Well,
yeah.
may I just notice, just 2 years ago, this was not a fire up. That was just enlivening in you. You took a backstage. Oftentimes you took a backstage and you kind of led and fought for it in a backstage. But something
Yeah.
inside of you comes in and says, no, it's not the backstage, it's the front stage that now I want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's activated inside of you. And you know, I figured the beauty is actually not in not knowing what to do. The more you know, the more constricted we become to follow someone else's rules because that's what we know of. But,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep coming back to the same thing. It's like the artist stops being an artist the moment he knows how to paint with the right hand perfectly. And it's the moment you're no longer an artist because you're not going into the unknown trying to find it, trying to find what feels completed, right? So you turn to the left hand then and you paint with the left hand because you don't know how to do that. So knowing is certainty, predictability is constricting, limiting, and it's not allowing this flow to come through. Yeah, but not knowing allows you to follow the impulses of life and instinct that is getting your attention in this toolbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything that comes with this toolbox. And the beauty in it is actually, I think, that's the beauty of creating something new and not falling for comparison with how others are doing it. And I think what you're saying is very crucial for upcoming rise of creation is I can only create if I have space to think and debate my own thoughts, your thoughts. And if I am feeling safe enough to really go against what you're telling me is the rule to follow, then out of which I can find my freedom to express myself the way I need to be expressed.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be expressed. I have a
Yeah.
need to become. And we're getting more and more constricted to follow one way, especially if we have the masses actually going that way and you almost have FOMO of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
And in the world where everything knowledge wise is getting faster and faster, whatever, molded, like you kind of know that you can't keep up with that pace.
Yeah.
And the more you try to keep up with that pace, the less of you becomes available for you because someone else's pace. It's not someone else's wave. It's not your wave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is very tricky time. And it's going to be more tricky. I find myself being tricked by someone else's wave and surf and speed and train.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the moment I hop on their train, I'm lost. I
Mm-hmm.
lost my train of thought, my speed of growth. I'm losing myself and I give up everything that I know and I build off. So I have to come back to it again and allow myself not to compare. What I do is very different. And what I do is very, the way I do it
Right.
is its own evolution. And
Right.
of course, it's going to be not perfect in the beginning. I already know I must fail
Mm-hmm.
in order to find exactly what I needed and to perfect my voice, the way I sound, my language. And I, the only thing that I want to do is allow the time for it to develop itself on my own terms, the way it needs to speak through us. And I'm coming back to this again. 2 years of us coming back to it actually changed the way we speak. It
Mm-hmm.
changed our narration. It changed our vocabulary, our tonality of the voice, how we think. It changed. It needed space and time for it to develop. So if I want something really fast, that's your Aries, really fast, and I react to it and I want results tomorrow and I want to get it, you're going to get burned no matter what
Mm-hmm.
because you're expecting something. I'm expecting something that I need actually, in reality, natural time to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I think it's like you said, like the temptation is to keep up with everything, stay in touch with everything, everyone, be on top of all of the developments you can't possibly do. And I loved how you said like you lose the important parts when you're chasing someone else's depiction of how it's supposed to go. And I honestly think for me, what I'm realizing with like Aries strongly in my chart is like that the image of protecting your own space, of calling your own development and your own journey and your own process sacred, and then saying no to everything that doesn't, everything that pulls you out of that space. It's like, sure, I could chase, um, and we met this couple, they have a couple kids, and the guy is an entrepreneur. He's on YouTube, and he's kind of doing something adjacent to what Carly and I are doing. So it's fun to talk to him because we have shared interests and we've kind of done the same things. We follow the same sort of thought process, but he's gone deep into AI and developing AI tools for entrepreneurs. So he's got a lot of ideas for like how we can implement, how we can do our improve our business. And I'm finding myself when you brought that up, I'm like finding myself getting caught in the pursuit, and then it's like I'm losing the presence of where I'm at. And because I'm comparing like, oh, you have 7,000 subscribers and I only have 250.
Yeah.
It's like, why does it matter? It's like, okay, because you're making 6,000 a month and I'm making like 300. It's like, at the end of the day, these numbers, I don't have to allow them to control me. I don't have to be attached to them so that they define who I am and my process. Because that's the art of what it means to be human is what are you here to bring? What are you here to discover? And how are you doing it? And like your voice will only sound like you. You'll maybe I should rephrase that. You're only gonna sound like a replicant, like a copy of someone else until you protect your space, right? The time it takes and the space you need to create and to fail and to make mistakes and to just be in the journey.
Mm. And what's interesting, you will find your confidence growing in your own space, actually. It
Mm,
doesn't grow when you when you hop on someone else's train because they're that fast. You lose your confidence in it. And
yeah.
it's such a profound experience. And at the same time, you had to experience someone else's train in order to come back and say, oh my God, the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this just invites a lot of
Mm-hmm.
and also a lot of time allotments. Like you're almost like your own. budget scheduler. You
Right.
schedule your times when you want to allow yourself to hop on someone else's train, just so that you can experience the different air there. And how does it feel? What does it do to you, right? So you can come back to your own sacred space and revisit, what did that trigger? And is this actually my truth or not? I allow myself to make mistakes, but I don't sit there for too long, right? The same way with relating, the same way with following the same pattern is like, I really want to come back down to me. And am I expanding or am I actually contracting? What does this do to me? Is it supporting me or is it actually making me compare, be jealous, be envy,
Right.
like compare myself? Like once I start comparing myself to others, I lost it. I lost me
Hmm.
and I lost my train. And to get to that point, I need to hop on something else, it's funny. Last night I was sitting here and I was like, okay, it's time for me to change the way I approach my podcasts and kind of make them a little edited.
Yeah.
You're talking 6 months later. And then, of course, I come back to the riverside and I was like, oh, fuck, Eric was right. I was like, I should have, but I should have done this 6 months ago. And I was like, but no, this is my evolution. This is my next step. And because the time for it is now. It
Hmm.
wasn't when you told me to do it. And now I'm looking, I was like, yeah, the camera should be a little bit more crispier. And I was like, I need to tell him this. But it's my train. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming in. It's like my train is beautiful on my own. And I allow myself to hop on yours, make mistake, come back and take it slower.
Hmm.
Because that's how I learn the most. And that's what changes my DNA deep down on my core. If I allow myself to actually take that process of slowly becoming.
Yeah. And and when you come back to it, it's yours. And
And
like
that's what
I,
makes you laugh. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like you have, like you said, I think confidence is a key piece. Because if I tell you what to do and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to do this thing, logically on paper it makes sense, but whatever, you have like some resistance to it initially. And maybe I'm curious, like what was the resistance? It just felt like it was taking you out of this sense of freedom and exploration, or you just weren't ready.
Oh, okay. What was the original
Mm-hmm.
resistance? It was, I think, so it had nothing to do with, I think it had to do with my comfort in where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I had to stay in that space to
Yeah.
become confident in it, that I can actually do something with it without rushing to get to something new, without actually feeling, oh, the steady, concrete pace that I already am going through and is trying to figure itself out. So I jumped the gun. The sense was I'm jumping the gun without actually understanding the
Yeah.
kindergarten part. So I needed to stay in the kindergarten zone in order to mature in it enough for next step to come. And I only can, like I can only determine that.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with understanding your comfort, discomfort zone and where you are. So when we launch anything in, like, for example, when you open the Instagram or you launch something on social media, I have relaunched my IG Instagram account 3 times. I build it, I deleted it. I build it, I deleted it. I build it, I deleted it until, okay, well, now I know my colors, right?
Yeah.
It's like I am kind of getting comfortable. And from there, I get to build. But to build the base, it's like I have to first explore a lot of it. I have to try
Mm-hmm.
and remove. It's like, why is it wrong to relist your entire Instagram and rebuild it from scratch? Who says I can't delete what I just wrote? Like,
Yeah.
what? But I had to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you came and you told me, but who cares? It wouldn't land. It would not land. It
Yeah.
had to land on my own terms.
Yeah. And I feel strongly that this is a unique perspective that we have as call entrepreneurs because we are naturally participating in things that are uncomfortable and like okay like starting a podcast, doing social media marketing, doing video like the media side, and it does take like you can step in into discomfort and then you allow it to kind of like seep. And then when
Yes.
you feel it's almost like the dew has settled, and then you can stir things up again and then be in that space of unknown where it's cloudy. Like you're stirring it up, it's cloudy, you can't see where it ends and where it begins. You can't really tell where you're at in it. You just know that there's a lot to learn. And then it settles down, and then you can start to see out again. And then you're like, okay, time to stir things up. And it's like that confidence is key. But the important part to say to maybe people that are not entrepreneurs is you have to the most important thing is that you have to step into the unknown first. Like you have to step into that fog. And you can't actually have that settling feeling and that new confidence unless you actually go into it. And there's this illusion when we see success stories online of like, oh, well, you had this working for you and you're beautiful and you have a great voice and you're well read and you have all this experience. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't see what it took to get to this point. And it took a lot of failure and it took some silly mistakes and just stubbornness, and all of the other things that make us human. So it's just an element of like we step forward with our humanness, deciding that being in the arena and having some wins and some losses is better than just being a participant. Um, and of course, because of my own experience, I wish this upon everyone, whether you like it or not. I wish that you could experience it. But I think too, with the law of randomness that you mentioned in the beginning, I think it happens for people whether you are jumping in like we are or whether you are more of a participant. I think it happens to people. Life
Mhm.
circumstances can change rapidly and suddenly, and you have a choice then. Am I going to, detach, or am I going to find myself holding on and just and then even in that there's a point in which comes in which you must let go.
Mm,
So,
yeah. Or it's gonna just happen to you. So,
mhm.
and then you'll just be like, oh my God, I cannot control anything.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because, and this is where in many ways I've been contemplating about this for last recent times. It's like in many ways we're doing the same exact thing. Like
Yeah.
literally every single person is going through the same phase. He talks about this seven-year fifth clock or phases where you did let go of something and then you welcome something new. But it's almost like we're going through the same exact lessons.
Yeah.
And to speak and teach this to anybody who's anyway gonna go through the same exact lessons in their own time is like it's
Mhm.
ludicrous. It's like, why would I want to tell you when you're gonna do it anyway?
Yeah.
Right. And what am I doing good to you to tell you prematurely that you must go through this now when it's not your time at all? And yet I took your money because you thought and you had an inkling or a little mini tease of, and then you needed to read that book 7 years later. It's like,
But it's a seed. You can't completely disregard it, right?
yeah, but it wasn't mine to tell it. It was already there. That's my point. It's like, I'm just blabbing my time.
But I
I'm
think,
just blabbing.
yeah.
You know
I,
what I mean? It's like you already had that seed. It was already part of your journey.
so
It
you
was just
watered it.
okay. I see you're giving it a lot of credit, but I also want
Well,
to
I
be able
actually
to.
feel like you're discrediting yourself for, and it's noble. I think it's beautiful, but there's an element of like, who am I? Like you'll say this, like, who am I to do? Because you feel in your own evolution, looking back, you're like, and at the end of our podcast, when we get to the cities, we often are like, we just said nothing for 2 hours. This
Yeah.
is the truth at the end, which is just silence. But again, going back to like the detachment of the experience itself and being in between
Yeah.
diving in and then releasing. It's like, but there's an in between that also exists. And
Yeah.
so you as a participant, you're actually the participant as much as they are, whether you're the one receiving the money or giving the money. You're still an active force in the evolution as a whole, not their evolution, not your evolution. And I think that's an attachment too to say, who am I? That's also an attachment to say, I'm not anyone to teach you. It's like,
Mm.
well, are you not are you not then attaching to the idea that you can never impact someone's life, or that you could never have the seed, or that you could never have the water, or the light, the perspective, even just your subtle difference in perception of what they're going through could be everything to just, oh, now I can see around the fog. And of course I'll make my mistakes getting there, but you showing me that there's something on the other side gives me some hope, whether I believe it or not. It still exists in me because you imparted that wisdom, or you showed me that perspective. So I just want to
Yeah.
say that, yeah. Not to say like you go back into teaching full force and all that, but you know,
You still show up.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that is the punchline, right? So it's like, in the end of the day, you still show up to do what the initiation through you wants to do, or what you're being kind of like shown you need to do. Even if I debate today and tomorrow, I'm in total opposites, right? I'm still experiencing, and I'm still getting to a point where momentum happens and I hop on it and I show up.
Hmm.
And yeah, like I like the confusion.
Yeah.
I appreciate ability to confuse myself to it, so much so that I have nothing left to do than just let it go and say, oh, fuck it. I just did it and I own it. And, like, to be able to laugh at it is really, really humbling and beautiful. But yeah, I see your point. It's like I might think about it that way this moment, but just after our call, I might change my mind again
Hmm.
and go full force to teach. Yes, you need this, and have this in like invitation to show up and stand strongly, so strongly, so that we can alter something to someone that
Hmm.
might never know. But
Hmm.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm.
Thank you. I, it's
Thank you.
it's actually a reflection of my experience of speaking with you and of having the space with you, because you've, you know, it, like like I can't water down what it means to be here with you. It's the depth is evident in my life and in how I shift. And Carly, even know when we don't have podcasts, Carly's like, "Are you sad that you didn't get to talk to Melissa?" I'm like, "No, I'm okay." And she knows. She's like, "There's something missing when you don't have that space that you've created." And I couldn't have like replicated this. And you've taught me so much in just allowing it to be. If that's all there is from what we're doing here, it's such a gift to have the ability to say what's happening right now is valid, right? Like that's it. It's like what's
Yeah.
happening right now is valid. I don't need to run from it. I don't need to deny it. I don't need to tell a story about it in my mind. It's like where in my body is this true? And is my heart online? Like am I connected? What's, just validating the experience itself. So thank you.
Yeah, same. Likewise, because yeah, it's this is why I think it's very profound that there are two same like energies desiring to have space and time to just explore, and venture off and not get attached to it. Speaking of detachment, and we're practicing this skill that it's slowly coming online, like you said, to our awareness. And when you have the space to feel yourself through this experience and through this journey, and I feel the same, and it's very hard. I don't know why this is actually really hard for people people to do, to just simply have a conversation, have a stand, and respect yours equally as you respect mine, and not by any
It's
mean
the
trying
shadow,
to
I think.
change. Hmm?
Yeah. It's the shadow, I think, the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is true because we expect nothing other than just space and freedom to be.
Yeah. And there's some level of like, I expect you to show up with some interest. You know, it's like I would be disappointed if you were like laying down. You're like, go ahead.
Oh, I see.
You got this one. Um,
Yeah,
I thought
which
this
is
was,
interesting.
yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Which is interesting because can't you? Oh, I also thought about it. It's like, oh, okay, maybe Monday was just gonna be like, yeah, no more. Nothing is alive anymore. I think it's time to close it.
Mm-hmm.
And when and I laugh at it because, well, that day's not yet here, which means today is, I have the aliveness to show up for it and I'm going to show up for it. And 2 years later, it's still the same exact energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I often think it's like, how is it possible to meet with two energies at the same level and show up every time the same, with the exact same impulse to be impulse to bring it forward, to allow it to show up? And how is it possible to meet this at the same level again and again and again and again? And I don't want to know the answer. I actually want to let it. I want to let it, allow it to never actually show itself to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. I don't know if you can though.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to bring this up because I thought you'd have some interesting perspective on it. But the reader and the writer in the gift, how when we're in the shadow, we're typically associating with the writer, and then at some level of detachment, you step out as the reader, as you're still writing. I was like, I love that analogy. I love it. What um what thoughts or feelings or experiences came up for you in thinking about that?
I It reminded me of the practice, and which is the embodied practice of being an experience, feeling as experience, which is putting yourself into someone else's shoes, which is actually being a hero of the story, and then changing that perspective and being experiencer. It's all about me. I'm the center of it. And then exiting that and almost like seeing yourself writing a book in which you write about yourself
Hmm.
and being an observer of what is happening in that moment. And to me, this just means it's actually brought up a very large, like different, deeper perspective of how many layers can we be in any given moment, noticing our life and noticing this process and noticing the moments,
Hmm.
and how we can actually choose, but not, like we have to be detached in order to choose which layer of ourselves we're going to be practicing in that moment. It's like, if I zoom out of myself right now and I'm sitting here talking about my life, which is the book that I'm writing, let's say, and I'm talking about it as if it's not even, I'm not associating with it, but yet I'm talking about my life and my direct experience that happened yesterday. I'm writing a book or tomorrow. And I'm sitting here in my room talking to you, really like being activated, but I'm also able to view myself from another layer of myself to see how much I am living and I'm trying to give my whole self to the moments of talking to you and to the moment of writing. And as I'm talking to you, I am referring to the moments that I already gave myself whole as. So, do you know like the
Mm.
Russian dolls and how
Yeah.
one is just like smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller? And that's how it reminded me of like many, many layers of possibilities for me to view myself from a different angle and understand myself through the layerness of it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's I think I think some level of like psychedelic exploration really helps to kind of see the puzzle from the perspective that you're sharing. Um and I think it's both Carly and I have noted that it's easier on the edges of sleep, whether when you first wake up or when you're about to fall asleep. And that's, I think, why a lot of the masters suggest to wake up early in the morning to meditate, because you can access much easier that perspective, that higher perspective,
Mm.
and you can go outside of your limited um, ability to see things. So, yeah, I think where it gets difficult is, or maybe again, it's just part of the journey, the process, is when we have strong embodied experiences or feelings. And recently, I relived a memory that I kind of set aside, and the memory brought up like this heat along my like back of my neck and my head, and just like really intense embodied emotion. And I was just reliving it and thinking how how strong that was, created like some level of polarity where I had to like do something with it. Like the emotion itself couldn't just be that intense and not have some reaction to it or some repression to escape it. And I think in looking back at it, I'm noticing that I lost the perspective. And I
Mm.
think we lose the perspective in moments that are very intense. But I think in the law, like you call it the law of randomness or universe or whatever you want to call it, God, I think we have these moments where we lose perspective so that we can when we gain higher perspective back, it has more and more and more flavor. It has more and more and more expansion to it. It has more awareness itself. And so this is where I find the city tripping me up, is I'm like, this isn't more awareness? Like what? I just have to laugh. I'm like, because it feels like more awareness. And if I sense the truth in the words that it's not, this is a joke.
Hmm.
And so I have to laugh because I'm like, well, I'm just caught right smack dab in the middle of this and I cannot get out.
Yeah. And how you said, I love the how you said it's like you have to almost like lose my awareness that I identify with whatever that is happening in that right moment. And I so identify with it that I'm having this intense emotional reaction.
Yeah.
So I am an experiencer. And for me to be aware, I had to experience it in order to get out of it and become experience or an observer. So it's almost like what he's saying in CD is like this play of identifying with emotion. So I can disidentify and saying, hey, it's just emotion. It's not me.
Hmm.
Coming
Hmm.
back to it, getting literally rippled effect of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm going to get as exit out of my skin because I had to subjectify it so much in order to realize and come to awareness that I lost my objectivity of it and
Hmm.
the higher meaning of it. It's like I'm coming in so I can get out.
Yeah. It's a
And
dance.
this, Yeah. And this play of it's me, it's not me. It's oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so for me. Oh, it's not for me. It's for it's like this in and out becomes
Mm-hmm.
very funny.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to that laughable cosmic joke stand and look at yourself in a ring, you also have to be in a VIP lounge sitting out there and saying, oh my God, it's like, this is funny. What am I fighting for?
Yeah.
Down in the ring, getting the experience of it, like feeling the fires and everything. And this awareness then becomes just, oh, I'm aware I'm one. And then I'm aware I'm everything. And then I'm aware I'm separated, just so that I can be aware that I'm whole and I'm just getting this awareness. I know. It's like, yeah, you can't help but not to laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's such a school. And it's also this laughable cosmic. It's not even the state that it can be sustained. I feel like it's a state you can tap into and come back into same exact experiencer, kind of like pendulation between the two. So you can tap out of it, taste the reality, come
Yeah.
back into experiencing.
Yeah.
Damn. And
And
life goes on, and then we turn 80 and we're still at the gym and still like, what am I doing here?
yeah. Well, there's timelessness too in laughter, right? And like with that perspective, um, the illusion of time passing and
Hmm.
the illusion of the aging. We didn't really get into like the 7 year cycle. He brought that up, like cycles, how it's programmed in our DNA that it must end and that we approaching the end, and how this gene key is the final gene key for the ring of life and death.
Hmm.
Yeah. Death
And
itself is a celebration. It's like, okay.
imagine how many cycles simultaneously are happening in our lives.
Yeah, well,
Cycles.
when I'm diving into astrology, I'm like, oh, okay. Let me just get the one piece. I'll come back to the rest and try to see what I'm not seeing. But again, it's like, okay, it's another thing. Astrology is a great example of stepping into that fog of the unknown. And like, okay, I'm like, okay, let me look at the moon and my rising
Uh-oh.
sign and maybe my north node, and I'll let that settle in, and then I'll do one more. Let that settle in, and that pace too, that pace of like stepping in and settling is different in different stages of our life. It's different in like how you approach your personality, and that's reflected again in astrology. Astrology is so interesting because it's like you're you're seeing the pattern, and then you're jumping into the pattern, like in how you're looking at the pattern is also reflected in the pattern, and then I'm sure you have a lot to say on that, but
Yeah, I do. And here's the cosmic joke. And the one that you're learning is not, it's very different from a Vedic one. The one that I'm learning is totally different from the Vedic one. And it's
yeah,
just a piece, a little fragment of exploration and curiosity. And who knows, is it true? Right? Who knows, is it actually the truth? Is the Vedic one that it's yesterday I found some astrologer and she's talking about the Vedic and I was like, huh, interesting. And I was
yeah,
so against it. And now I'm curious about it. And I was like, why am I curious? So that way I can come back and confuse myself again. Right. So it's like there's these tools are coming around as not the only tool that we can use. It's just a little fragment of this entire curiosity that comes in to light you up to do something about your
yeah,
own evolution. So even that, like when you know something so well, and I'm not saying I know it well, but I'm saying I know a lot of it. Even that I question. And I find myself really being it's not even, I'm not happy about it. And I'm not like confident in it. I'm it's not even being proud, but I am adventurous. Like I feel the adventure of life by questioning what I'm doing, by
Mm.
questioning myself. And that's why the Osho came to, I was like, okay, well, the goal is really to confuse, maximum confuse myself to it. And I am excited about it. So, what I'm actually really going for is this excitement of finding the wrongs in what I think is right
Mm.
and staying curious, which makes me feel very much alive, makes me feel like something in me is desiring this curiosity to just get more complex and complex and to, just so that I can see how much of a complexity I can hold into one mind. And is there an experience of the body that I actually assign to the 10,000 trials just so that way I can figure out one that works?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't know. I find it very, I find the more I know,
The paradox, the paradox
yeah,
of knowledge. Yeah.
the less I actually know. So I love it. I love that.
Mm.
But yeah, in the astrology, we can go many, many ways. And I think this is also where you learn. This is also where we outgrow our teachers that we think are
Yeah.
the best in everything. And then you realize, oh, they're just a branch or just a little puzzle to this whole overarching vastness. And you no longer apply
Yeah.
to my, because I'm ready to. And I think this is where I was telling my other coach too, it's like, I got kicked out of the classes because I was smarter than my teacher over and over again. And I'm like, well, if astrology is right, no matter which one I take. And one thing for me is that I can't take authority. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm looking up to you until I look behind and you're like, you're still there. I'm up there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel you're no longer enough. And that's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's, if they're like if I'm a coach and you're my student, if I'm detached enough, I see you as being a really, really great student because you surpassed me. And then I just take
Hmm.
that as like, look at this success story.
Yeah. Because you are
Um,
supposed to. And
yeah.
if I'm really a good coach for you, I will see your potential and push you towards it, even if it makes me small.
Yeah, or I'm not even part of whatever it makes me doesn't is not relevant. It's just about your own evolution as a student. Let me ask you though, you mentioned Vedic astrology. I've I'm only getting into tropical because I'm like the closest person that have I have to teach me and to assist me is you, and that's the system you use. But if you gave me Vedic or if you said I want you to look at both, I would have. So I'm curious, what made you resistant initially? Because you said like you tossed it away and you were like, this isn't correct.
Great question. I don't have time for it. I simply don't have time for it.
Yeah.
But if I had more time, I would be more curious about it. And I think even in tropical placidus, if you look at it, it's like it allows you more space. Just tropical placidus allows you more space for each house. Vedic is just whole science system, how I
Yeah.
understand
Mhm.
it. And I don't want those limits. I want to be able to see that you are, yeah,
Mhm.
sounds familiar. I want to see that the difference between me and you is larger house, larger focus, different planets. And I think it's allowing the space to create. And unless it's very spacious or unless it's very free form that I can formulate my own understanding of it, I wouldn't sign up for it. I wouldn't sign up for it because I need space. And I know I need to think through, like you said in the beginning, it's like I need to come back to it and exchange with it. And
Yeah.
Vedic just seems a little limited to me. And so the same way, like in human design, it's like, do I really want to look at
Yeah.
human design? No,
Well,
I want
it's
space.
yeah, and it's funny because I have somewhat close friend who's big in human design, and she always brings these ideas to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna go over here and contemplate and just spin in circles for 2 hours. And I feel that you're never gonna
Love.
know what that's like because it's
Yes.
just a different approach. Like you just like someone else just loves the structure and the system and how isn't it like she'll say like you're like this, isn't it crazy how you find yourself like that? And I immediately, because I'm also very anti-authority as you are, I immediately am like, let me find all the ways in which I'm not what you just said I am. And it just, and then I find freedom. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't approach it that way. And maybe in the future I'll be ready to if it's relevant. But I also find that, Richard, he was in human design system and he came out of it to bring this. I think because he saw that there were limitations in only approaching things in a very structured, masculine kind of way. And I think this is something that's so beautiful about the Gene Keys, and maybe if it's reflected in tropical versus Vedic, it's like it's just there to be a platform for whatever you resonate with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what truth is. It's like it's relevant to you and it feels true to you in that moment. It is true. And until later, you gain a new perspective and you see it as just a fractal component of the greater truth. And we're on that journey. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, the greater, yeah, the greater the space,
hmm
the more there is to explore into the unknown.
yeah.
I didn't know you're anti-authority.
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
I shared elements of it, but maybe I didn't clearly state. Like all through school, I was just
Mm,
getting in trouble and yeah, not
it's
great. I was
great.
questioning my parents. And when my mom would get to the point, she said, because I said so. And I took that as it was like at some point I'm like, I'm not going to trust anything you say because you won't explore with me. And
Mm,
I took it very personally. I didn't need to be so reactive to it, but there's some element of like, I had to, that allowed me to have my own independent journey and that I had to like branch off. I think that was when I began to see my parents as human beings and not as like whatever we see them as when we're kids.
mm.
Yeah.
That crisis, that tension, the
Mm-hmm.
boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
When we just,
Yeah.
cool,
Fuck it. I'm going into the unknown.
dare, dare. And then maybe, maybe not. You're suddenly going to have the occurrence and realize everything out of blue.
Yeah.
What a lottery. I love it. I'm reading this new book. It's a massive series. It's called the Zodiac Academy, and it's 25 books worth of like fiction, which
Fiction.
is I know. I know.
Okay.
I gave it a try. It's a book talk, right? So book talk is massive on TikTok. And it's a lot of these like generational Gen Zs are coming in and actually getting really famous and they're not never been authors before.
Mm.
And they write because they have a talent of writing and they don't know how else to express themselves rather than just creating this imaginary world. But anyway, these two women created this whole series, which is like almost like speaks about fantastical, romantic, dark, emotional world of zodiacs and academy and how they fight. And it's so catchy. And I find myself enjoying it. And I'm like, I
Mm.
hated fiction before. Are you
Yeah.
serious? I was like, I still have so many non-fictional books to read that I'm like, really want to like get into it But this is my nighttime guilt, like guilty pleasure. And I love it
Yeah.
because it opens up the space for a
Yeah.
different way of thinking. And I think until we're curious, it's crucial for evolution just to be curious about something in life. damn it, rather than just like get so rigid about one way of thinking. All this to say, I didn't notice your devil's advocate coming up in the last 20 sessions that we had. So it just showed up in first thank keys.
Yeah.
You, you, when you were like, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. But I also changed the way I'm approaching the expressions because it was just very much authoritative back then,
Mm.
which you reacted with the same authority. But now it's more welcoming and settled.
Yeah. And I got to see how you perceived it. And I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Like, I wasn't meaning to become like combative or argumentative. Like, just seeing your perspective of it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna chill that, chill that out a little bit, find a different way, find a different approach. And what's funny is I don't think I made that big of a shift. I just didn't introduce it like I'm gonna play devil's advocate, or it's just like a softer, I'm gonna bring this
Welcoming.
forward in a softer way, and then it just landed differently, I think, with you and with me. So,
Yeah.
but I
Well
also
led.
found like when I talk to my dad, I can hear the tone, and tone can like I think tone is where a lot of the magic of language and communication exists. Like your tonality, and then where you place your voice, where it comes from. And I feel
Hmm.
like now, if I could probably look back, I would see how more like a higher percentage of my speaking comes from deeper and not as like when it's up in the chest and in the throat,
Mm,
it's like constrict, like you feel the constriction, you feel the tension, the
mm.
desire to like, yeah. Anyways,
And also, it's about perception too, because you can perceive my words of love as attack too.
yeah,
And I can only do what I can do on my side. But if you perceive me as somebody who is telling you what you need to do, then I'm here just speaking and using you, not actually pointing at you, but pointing
yeah,
at me and myself. So my way of explaining can be very different. But if you perceive it that way, then, this is where I think like our timing is just right to be who we are and accept each other, but just who we are. And we might end in 7-year cycle, right? So it's like that's also a possibility. But that
mhm,
perception is also big because the glasses that you wear to perceive your world and give yourself to the world is also like seasonal in life as well. So this is where a lot of relationships fall.
yeah,
A lot. Well,
yeah,
all of mine. Well, not all, but some of them, recent ones.
yeah. Well, and Carly and I have, we're 8 years now in September, and as much as I was aware of the 7 year itch, they call it, it fucking happened to us, and like you got to experience my own journey through that, and it was like real. It was real, and it was intense, and I couldn't define it outside of like a loss of communication and connection. Um, but again, going back to the gene key of commitment, like we found commitment to each other into that process of not just to each other, like I'll sacrifice everything so that I stay with you, but also like we're here together so that ideally that you can find your deeper expression of who you are, and that I can also do the same, and that
Yeah.
we can evolve together. Maybe it means the sexuality, the communication, the how we raise our kids changes, and we have to find a way to do that. But attaching to how it's supposed to be or what we were before, I think that's where the death occurs, because there's no, again, like we're just creating space. So the more space we can create, and in an intimate relationship, it's so hard to create space when there's a ton of attachment. I continually find myself being in this like, oh, I just, I have my desires, I have my attachments, I have my ideas of what's non-negotiable, and then I find that that constantly is changing. If I zoom out, my non-negotiables change. So, what is it that's non-negotiable besides that we give each other space, and that I provide, and then maybe I provide her safety is a big one, and that she, I don't know what it is on my end, but she is loving to me and my family. Like if she's loving to me and my kids, I can accept everything outside of that. And
Yeah.
it took the journey of going into the depths, like in a Scorpio way of like what the fuck is here in terms of what am I actually desiring and what's here and why are we in conflict, and then coming out to then have a new perspective on the relationship itself. And I think a richer, more um, there's more depth to it. There's still a duality of like we have pain and pleasure, we have difficulties and beauty and ease. Um, but we're here together. We're still holding hands. We're still on some level. I'm still on her side and she's still on my side. If there's a
Mm.
side, it's like we're here and we're together in it.
Yeah. And in many ways, it's almost like finding the freedom in, no offense, to marriage, to parenthood. But these two concepts have almost like limitations. They bring a lot
Yeah,
of sacrifice, they bring a lot of obligation, they bring a lot of responsibility.
it's
And
true.
these things are very much, okay, I have to do this. Even if
Hmm.
I don't feel like doing it today, I have to. And this is the form of imprisonment.
Hmm.
So what you're explaining is like it's almost like seeking to find the freedom in the imprisonment form that you
Yeah.
are, because you live in that concept. You can only do that in the system, and you're gifted. You are given this. These are the cards. So a lot of it has to do with finding your own voice again, finding your own
Hmm.
space and freedom inside to become and continue your own evolution, though you're still in a concept of imprisonment to it
Hmm.
because you have different things to do. But it's equally the same. And I can almost speak on my behalf. It's like, I don't have the marriage, nor a children, nor obligations towards it. But there's the same exact sense of being obligated to gift this to the larger concept, which is the world.
Yeah.
So world itself now become my family and becomes
Hmm.
my kids,
Yeah.
becomes there's a sense of obligation to contribute, though it's in a four souls or a 4 million souls. It's equally the same feeling of, okay, I have to be able to find my freedom in order to actually sustain the
Yeah.
concept that I'm part of.
Mm.
And I love that, through that research or the journey, you find, is it the freedom of speech? Can I speak of how I feel and be held the same way? Like, can I go out there and speak and not be afraid that I will be shot for standing for something
Yeah.
that it's coming out of me? So it's
Well,
really
yeah. It's
right.
great that we live in America because there's
Yeah.
still some level of, you know, s- freedom of speech.
Some level. Yeah, exactly. So being the concept of imprisonment can be even in the way you eat, or you have a self-image about your body and dysmorphia. It's like that there's a
Hmm.
concept of imprisonment where you have to find the freedom. And
Yeah.
in many ways, we're actually imprisoned in the earth, because
Yeah.
look how much space we have to explore, and we cannot get there. So we have to find the ways through it, and the ways through it is really down through the heart, through the energy, through the imagination, through the creation, and we are gifted all of these things. And I guess like it's not easier to be alone as it is. It's not easy to actually be with someone constantly
Right.
and reinvent yourself and re-justify yourself why you need certain things. But in the end of the day, if I can love you and allow you to evolve, then my job is done. My
Yeah.
job, I completed my role in your life. And if that evolution means I have to let you go because you're at that stage and you want to move elsewhere or do something and shave your head and become gay, then my love for you is tested. Okay,
I think we're gonna wrap up. Probably I'll come say goodbye.
time.
Oh, what a good way to end. Thank you so much. And I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Adios. Till next
Adios.
time. Ciao.